I'm Sarah Fishel, and I'd like to welcome you to McKenna's house. Today I'm making buttermilk biscuits, and to do that I have put 2 cups of flour in my bowl, and I'm going to add some lard here, just 2 tablespoons of lard, and I need to work that in. Once I have that worked in, then I'm going to add baking soda, baking powder, and salt. And there's not a lot of lard in this recipe. It's mostly made with buttermilk. So that's worked in there nicely. So we're going to add the baking powder, and there's 2 tablespoons of that. There's 1 teaspoon of salt. This is a really simple, quick biscuit recipe. And then you have your baking soda. And there's only 1/4 of a teaspoon of the baking soda. And you're just going to work all that together. If you get a little on the table, that doesn't matter. That just helps for rolling it out later. Got that all worked together. And we're going to add our buttermilk. Now, buttermilk's what adds that extra flavor to it. It has a kind of a salty taste otherwise. But we'll add our buttermilk in here. And once it gets stirred up, it's pretty stiff, and so you'll have to work it in and work it around on the table, get it all kneaded up really well before you cut it with your biscuit cutter. But you can see how kind of dry-like it seems to be, but it will work itself together. And then you can also have some of your homemade jam that you've got in the pantry. I've got some raspberry jam on the table that I'm going to have with mine in a little bit. So this has worked together enough that now it's time to put in the fingers. So you do really have to mush it together with your fingers a little bit in order to get it worked together. And because it's a very dry biscuit. And if you need to, you can always add a little bit more of your buttermilk. I'm going to set it aside there. And I'm just going to work it. You don't want to overwork your biscuit because then your biscuit will be tough. But you do need to work in all your flour and your Crisco and lard, whichever one you're using. So that worked together there. And then we're just going to, because I don't want to overwork it, I'm just going to pat it out here and then use my rolling pin. I'm going to roll it to about 1 inch thick because I like a little bit thicker biscuits, and I'm going to be fixing a white gravy to go with this later. And so I want a biscuit that will hold up the gravy. So that's about 1 inch thick there. And I've got a cookie cutter right here and a biscuit cutter. It's not a cookie cutter, it's a biscuit cutter. But sometimes I use it for my sugar cookies also. So we're just going to cut our biscuits in our nice little rounds. They don't have to be perfect. And our leftovers we'll just mush back together and make a few more biscuits. Now when you get ready to bake them, you do want to grease your baking sheet. So I have some butter over here on the stove that I have melted. And I'm just going to kind of put my spoon in there because I know it's warm and just kind of smear it around on my baking sheet. This will keep them from sticking and give them a nice golden brown bottom. There we go. And we're just going to place them on here side by side. There might be a few scraps on there, but that's all right. Then we're going to place it in an oven that's kind of a medium to hot oven, and they'll bake for 20 to 25 minutes. Go ahead and finish rolling this out here. Cut a few more. And they'll be ready to go in the oven. So there we are, our buttermilk biscuits. We're going to place them in the oven. And then in about 20 to 25 minutes, you'll have biscuits that are ready to either be buttered and enjoyed with jelly or shared under biscuits and gravy. This is what they're gonna look like. I keep mine warm. I make several batches because I have 10 children, and so I have to make a couple of batches, and I want them to stay warm, so I put them in the Dutch oven here with a lid on them, and then I can put them on the warmer in the stove, and they stay nice and warm, and they're ready for a little bit of butter. So I'm gonna just put a little butter on here, and a little bit of jam. This is raspberry jam left over from the summer. That's really, really tasty and good, and I hope you enjoy your buttermilk biscuits.